This is it, the all-electric hypercar that rewrites the rulebook, the Lotus Evija. With over 2,000 horsepower and F1 levels of downforce, it's not just fast, it's ferocious. In this video, I'm going flat out on the track at Lotus HQ and for a run out on the Norfolk roads, as well as diving deep into the cutting edge technology, exploring how it is built and even imagining a dream specification. This is the most in-depth look at the Evija that you'll find, and trust me, you're going to want to see this through to the very end. Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where today we're going to experience and learn everything there is to know about this, the Lotus Evija. Let me hit you with some of the numbers behind this because they take a moment to get your head around. Then we're going to be joined by Gavan Kershaw to go through a lot more about it. But Evija has 4 electric motors making 1,500 kilowatts. That's 2,039 metric horsepower, 2,011 brake horsepower. It also has 1,704 Newton meters of torque. That means this car, weighing just under 1,900 kilos, gets 0 to 300 kilometers an hour, 186 miles an hour, in only 9 and a little bit seconds. It has downforce to the level of Formula 1 or Le Mans Hypercar, 1,600 kilos of downforce. But it's not just about this amazing amount of power, this amazing amount of trackability. It's about what it's actually like to drive on the road, and that's what I'm keen to discover. So let's go grab Gav and learn a lot more about this before we're getting it out to go drive, and later on, more about the production, the spec, and everything else. Talk to me about this then. I'm standing here. Violaceous, I think, is the colour.
Violaceous, yep.
There's a lot about this that's different to everything else you think about. The motors, the battery location, the aero.
So, obviously, the Evija, the main thing was the design language that we used set the trend for all of our new Lotuses, but also using air in the right way. So getting air to actually go through the car rather than just over it. So when it's going over it, we're generating 1,500 kilos of downforce, which is nearly to the weight of the car, so we could nearly drive upside down. But also managing that air, so the way that the radiators, you won't see any radiators visibly, which would be up against the grills and things like this here. So we've actually got a Formula 1 style nose where the air is being just purely pushing the car down, but also inhaled and evacuated out through over the screen.
Because the radiators in here sit flat, don't they?
They sit flat, yeah, they're parallel with the road surface. So again, less drag, all of this, but also obviously with the car's famous for its porosity and the side ducts where you could, as you've joked and said, you can put a full small child through there. So, and it's literally the surprise when we're at a show, people will look from both sides because I'm pretty sure they think there's a mirror in there somewhere. But it's also, for us, it was the design language. Having the battery pack, as we said, is that the battery pack really, most battery cars that people are familiar with have the battery pack in the floor.
Yeah, they'll sit a little taller.
So a little bit taller.
Skateboard.
So if we were sitting on a skateboard battery, the top of the car would literally be here, which means your eye line is there, you're not close to the ground. So we're in a true supercar, hypercar sitting position, and the battery is where you'd have any engine or propulsion system. And we decided to put it there. We're the first to ever do it, and that's to get the weight of the battery right where the car yaws around and pivots around. Mm-hmm. And I think I've said to people, if I put you in an office chair and get your arms out, it takes me a lot of force to twist you around. If I get you to do that, I can spin you really quickly. And that's why the car's agile and things like this. Then the wing, obviously lots of wing angles, so we can deploy the wing all the way down in range mode to lift it up to full attack when we're in track mode.
And even, more cooling through here.
Yeah, more cooling. So you're still trying to cool that amount of kilowatts. So, when you put your foot down, you're nearly pulling 2 megawatts of power through. All of that energy's got to go through the cooling system and things like this. And again, some engineering, so we can see these magnificent dampers and things like this. So you're used to looking in the back of a car and seeing components and engine components. So we wanted to show the same. So this has actually got a third element. So it's actually got 2 corner dampers and a heave damper as well. And that's to control that ride on the road that we're famous for, but also stopping the downforce just squashing us to the ground, and that famous term of porpoising all the Formula 1 teams came across.
Then back here, to see the openings from behind, the tail lights that wrap around them.
Yeah, Russell's will talk through you today. Is the whole theory of that was that from the rear, that visible, but he wanted to look like the afterburners of a jet fighter.
Yes.
So that literally you pull up behind it, someone touches the brake lights, and then off it goes, and it's like you just put the afterburners on. And then DRS flaps, so we've got a really big diffuser. And when we're driving on the road with a number plate on, the flaps have 2 stages, and then when we take this off for track mode, where we're really using the full width of the diffuser or height of the diffuser, we get even more downforce then, because you want downforce in a track, you're not looking for range and things like this.
So we're going to discover a lot more of that later. I feel like there's a lot to this, but while we have a break in the bad weather, we should probably hop in. Go for a little road drive.
Yes, perfect.
You can, of course, open the door from the key, or there is a button just under there, and the hydraulics pop that open. We haven't really yet spoken about the interior, but carbon seats, this floating wing that sits over the dashboard with all this negative space is quite something. And we're right in the heart of the carbon tub.
So we just stow the key.
Key goes in place, because that's part of the emotion of the drive, right? The key has to be in position.
Yeah, it's part so you actually have an interaction with the car as soon as you put it in there, somewhere to safely stow it because of the acceleration and you don't want it flying around the cockpit. But it's that, getting ready to drive and things like that, getting used to your car. So for us, straight away was, how minimal this is inside, but it has everything there. So it has air conditioning, Apple CarPlay, fans, infotainment, but also an F1 inspired steering wheel. So we were playing a little bit, so it's got a single wiper push here, headlamp flash as if you were at Le Mans chasing someone down. All your car controls are here, so your DRS, your cruise control, things like this, but your media here as well. So, but also the Manatino for the drive mode, wanted to be right in front of you, really tactile, so that you're switching between it, and then the display will change. But also
the ski slope.
We call it the ski slope, yeah. So we have haptic feedback, so you just feel it vibrate like a home screen, something like that on an iPhone. Yeah. But also it lights up only the bits you're touching. And then we have whole car lift, so the whole car, we can deploy the rear wing if you're posing or if you're putting it down, front and rear camera system, and then, as you said, the scroll function within the screen, depending on what we want to do with the car. And then just straight back home or CarPlay if we're using it.
And for the doors, do you close them with this?
Yeah, so you have to pull and hold so that you can't trap yourself in it.
Yeah, makes sense. You've got the mirrors on the exterior.
Yeah, it was a big decision for us. It was, new technology and where to put them, because we originally were going to have them here like little side mirrors on a Formula 1 car, but then we realised that you're just being fixated on looking ahead, not to the right or left. So where we actually put the mirrors is a big point. And the main thing as well is that you can sit in here, we're not shoulder to shoulder, we're not rubbing, and later on we'll have a crash helmet on. So the space inside the car, how easy it was to get in and out and things like this was super important for us.
So we roll out. The first thing you notice are the sounds.
Yeah, it's not silent. Everyone expects it to be silent, but actually there's a technical noise to the inverters, the gearboxes, the motors and the inverters. And as we increase performance, you start to use those as a performance gauge, so you can actually realise, I'm actually, the speed alone it's like a rev counter that you start thinking, instinctively when you change gear in a car, you can virtually, within a few miles per hour, go, I know what speed I'll be doing. So
yeah, that makes sense. So at the minute we're in range mode, which presumably...
Yeah, I think that the numbers that the car does, the 0 to 300 in under 10 seconds, kilometers per hour, and 2,000 horsepower, 500 horsepower per wheel. Damp conditions, you're on Trofeos. People think, well, I'm going to end up through this hedge here. This is range mode, flat out. So it's just a sporty EV that, you're tired, you're coming back, poor weather, you've got caught in a rainstorm, you're going to be able to get home and enjoy it. You can see. So that's range mode.
Exactly what you were saying, the way that you hear the electric motors and the noises.
Yeah, it's engaging. So yes, you don't have a thumping V12 or V8 in the back, but all of a sudden your senses have something to react to. And things like braking and stuff like this is that we don't have regen because we don't have decoupled brakes, we have true brake booster. So you can do what we call a chauffeur stop all the way through to 0 without these clunking around, 1 foot braking, things like this. So
Yeah.
then,
That slight awkwardness that you sometimes get as the regen braking changes between.
yeah, we call it the handover. You know, it's so again. So if I pop it into city now, city was designed to be capped at 100 miles per hour, so probably a strange city, but it wanted to have that a lot more instant feel, that connection. But as the speed increased, the torque we roll off as well. So you don't want that completely pulling, you know, tree roots out acceleration in city, but you want that instant connection when you're, you know, in Dubai or something, got something strange pulled next to you. So everything has been thought about, and then tour mode is what we'd recommend, you know, most people to drive in. So it's super performance. Obviously, I behave myself on the road, but again, it's pleasurable, it's exhilarating, but it's connected, and that goes with the car's ride as well. You know, we're on quite a bumpy B road here near Hethel, and we're not juddering, and it's not feeling like turbulence, you know. And again, instant response from the steering, smaller steering wheel, and you'll feel when you drive the weight picks up instantly, so you can place yourself in a corner. You can be millimetre perfect, following a white line around a bend, and your hands are in one position. So true Lotus that way as well. So, and then we'll probably wait for the track later, but once you start putting it to sport.
Oh, okay. you like catching people out with that one, I think.
So that's normally where you lose your contents of the storage tray here. So. And again, it's that making that performance a deliberate, you know, operation, that you're in tour and you may have got used to it, and then sport, you don't just have that, you actually click it again, you get the screen telling you you've got more power and where your throttle is, things like this.
And you can leave it in that mode and it will start in that mode.
Yeah, and it will start in the modes. So the only thing it won't start in is track mode, which is the license plate thing, things like this.
So does it also change the stability and traction side of things?
Yes. So stability there's always stability control in all modes, because when you're trying to control 500 horsepower through the rear wheels isn't a problem. So you've got 1,000 horsepower across the rear axle. The tyres nowadays and the size of them and the aerodynamics, you can manage that. But also now when you're mapping torque demand, you know, we hear torque demand, Martin Brun will talk about torque demand. It's that, you know, you can make the throttle pedal do as little or as much as you want. You can roll torque in, you can roll torque out. So the vehicle has what we call torque vectoring, but active torque biasing we call it as well. So it's important to move the torque right and left. It's actually more important to move it fore aft, because you're hunting for traction more than you are agility.
Into a lay-by we go. Time to swap?
Yeah, time to swap. There we go. I'll put it back in range for you.
Oh, really?
no, straight to sport.
We'll try them all. We'll try them all. Door release. Push that up. There's something about that, isn't there?
It's cool, isn't it?
It just feels good. Right, sink down.
There we go, sink into it.
You're very low. Sitting in here, it's right down on the ground.
And you just hold it till the latch clicks, and then that's it.
It's like a spaceship kind of vibe.
It is. It's that sort of moment when they sort of close the airplane doors and you think, okay, we're off.
Yeah, it's time. Here we go. The vision is amazing. Those arches, as you were saying, immediate feeling of where you are in the car. There's no questioning it. So tour mode to begin. Just got to get used to looking obviously at the camera screens. It's funny because at the time the car was first shown, you know, the original concept, and it hasn't changed much from that back in 2019. No. Obviously this was completely innovative, almost, having the camera systems.
So much of this technology was completely new, you know, and that's, you know, people think it's taken us a while to get there, but every technology was new to it, from the camera systems to the, you know, the DRS, the steering wheel, the software, the battery, everything was new.
The steering wheel is amazing.
Yeah,
it's really amazing.
And it's, you know, it's that connection, because you don't have to move it that far. We saw when we exited Lotus, just the turning circle won't embarrass you, it's very good.
And I also love the feeling of the sound. The signature of the audio, what you're hearing, is communicating to you like a rev counter. You know where it's at.
Yeah.
Just from the noise.
You know, you can tell you've instantly done more torque demand at the throttle, because you hear that slightly as you go, and then away you go. Then that turns into tyre slip normally.
Okay, so like this, cruising along, the suspension, with a battery electric car like this, obviously there's more weight than a combustion engine vehicle, which puts more importance on things like the suspension.
Yeah.
Right, to negate that. I guess that's why the battery pack is positioned where it is. But do you have to do a lot more work with suspension to kind of negate that? Or?
Not really, because, you know, okay, it's not a 700 kilo Elise, but it is only 1800 kilos, so that's not abnormal for a big sports car anyway, or a supercar. So it's not the 2.6 tonne that most battery electric vehicles, or 1200, 1500 kilos. So it's obviously the strength, but it's the chassis tub. So we've got a single shot carbon fibre chassis, so very similar to a Formula 1 car or an LMP car. So all of the suspension is really strongly mounted. It's got something to react all its loads through. But it's getting that compliance, because with an electric car is you're trying to control MVH, so the noise, vibration and harshness. You don't want annoying rattles and things like this, because you haven't got that screaming V12 behind you. So noises can be positive, but it's the bad ones that become annoying. And then if you went into sport, the dampers will stiffen up as well. So it's
Let's try
the Multimatic system where it's not active, but it's mode selectable damping.
So obviously I'm spoilt to have a number of cars with Multimatic systems. I have my 4 GT, the Ferrari Purosangue, and what they're doing with suspension is so impressive. It allows an envelope of performance that never existed before, a breadth of capability as well.
Oh, 100%. You know, there are only about 15 kilometres here, one of their test houses, so we work with them, we work with their rigs, and we use our track. And that balance of that motorsport understanding, but also wheel control, because you've got a lot of, you know, big wheels, tyres and brakes, that they take a lot of control. You're only, basically you've got 4 pieces of rubber keeping you to the road, and you rely on aero and damping really to really control those contact patches.
So one thing I noticed flicking it back from sport to tour is how much the throttle response changes.
Yes.
Is it just the responsive feel of the pedal, or is it also changing the mapping and power?
So you'll get a higher torque demand, or higher peak torque in sport. So we're really playing with torque, not power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically the amount of maximum torque you're allowed for a given throttle angle.
Okay.
So in tour and sport, we wanted people to be able to achieve the VMAX. So if they're fortunate enough to be on a circuit or Germany, things like this, they not have to run it into track mode and things like this. But it's the way that the aggressiveness to get there, and how you protect that tyre. You know, as we said, is with damping, you're protecting the tyre, and that's how you protect it with torque.
But it's quite a significant difference in feel. The ride is significantly firmer in sports, but the throttle response, like I say, is dramatically different.
Yes, we wanted that urgency, you know.
You feel it as soon as we go into sport here. It's a very, very minute input that gives you...
let me just keep going straight.
It gives you quite a significant amount of throttle.
And it just builds and builds and builds.
I'm conscious that it is a little bit damp, so don't want to be silly, but it's four-wheel drive, right? So
yeah, it's got good traction, but you know, you've still got 2,000 horsepower. And it's strange, isn't it? It's like, you know, when you're lucky enough to drive something like this, you're actually only using 20-30% throttle. You know, it's not a to the floor type sensation.
If even that, often when you get in a car with that much power available, you're thinking about a regular... I mean, my daily right now is the Renault 5 with 150 horsepower. This is 13 and a bit of those.
Yes. and that's the big conversation with range, because range on a circuit, yes, it's going to be heavily reduced, because you can use wide open throttle at hanger straight and things like this.
It's a mathematical equation.
Yeah, you're not going to use that around the roads of Norfolk, not for very long anyway.
I'm impressed by the lack of all the noises and rattles I kind of expected, which allows you to focus just on this soundtrack, which is just effortless. The thing with an electric car is that it's so hard on a video to portray the acceleration and the feeling. You just have to believe the words that...
Yeah, it is, it's often just look down at the speedo, isn't it?
Yes.
It's that, fruit machine tires spinning.
It's something that I think a lot of petrol heads in particular get heavily alienated from performance EVs because they're so different to drive in many ways to a car. But what I feel on the road with this so far is it's not like necessarily driving a computer game. It's got much more of a traditional car feel than you might expect.
Yes.
And I guess that's yourself and your team have engineered it that way.
We wanted it to feel, a Lotus, and a Lotus. Everyone loved the Emira, everyone liked the Evora, the Elises, the Exiges. And this had to be no different. It had to be a car that wasn't just purely going to find a straight piece of road. You could actually drive it in city, not go over 70, but go and find some corners, go and find an upbeat pass, and feel confident that you'd have traction and things like this.
Country lanes then, currently in tour mode, and actually for how bumpy and crested and rutted this is, it's pretty smooth down here. I mean, it's wet and greasy, and there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of mud, and it's harvest season as well. So, but no, it's it's under trees, it's bumpy, it's broken surfaces. The tyres, working hard to do it, but it's hopefully you can see we're not bouncing up and down, our voice isn't broken and things like this.
It's certainly let's say an exciting type of feel.
Yes.
It has to be. I think when you do something like this, it has to feel like you're not trying to build a Rolls Royce here.
No.
It's a hypercar.
Yeah.
It's a lot of power. So there's certainly a feeling of the directness, but I love the weight of the steering. And I keep saying it, I love the steering wheel in general. And at the end of the day, when you're driving a car, your connection with the car is this. This matters.
It's that.
A nice small feel, not too chunky that you can't really grip the thing. Gosh, I'm probably only on about half power as well.
Yeah, our standing quarter is over 200 miles per hour. That was a pretty. That was a pretty symptom.
Quarter mile is over 200 miles per hour.
Yeah, you can get, with launch on the circuit, you can get it. It's just, again, if we can get the traction in there, we can just go.
That is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
A fast supercar might get to 160 or something.
Yeah.
SF90, something like that. This will do 200.
I think people didn't believe that Supercar Festival, we took it there, we'd touch over 200 and back down to zero again on that small runway.
Wow. That's something. For some country lanes like this, I'm going to go back into sport. I like how easily accessible the switch
there,
is.
isn't it? Yeah.
Right there, ready to go, jumping backwards and forwards depending what mode you want to be in. But this is some proper Norfolk countryside. There's some twists and turns ahead of us to experience a little bit more. Another thing I quite like is I can tell this has been set up by somebody who likes to drive properly, is the natural position of the throttle and the brake. It's right where you want your left foot to be on the brake. Done, off you go. I like this, a little bit drier as well. This is where, when you push it through a corner, very small but very precise steering input. Comfortable positioning in the lane. Endless power. Transitioning back and forth. Sorry, we'll save more of the extreme driving for when we're back at the track, but it's really impressive down a road like this actually. As you come up the road, you get that little flash of Lotus on the building, and you're like, we're home.
And also always amazes me, you look to the right in Classic, we've got Senna's winning Grand Prix car, or Hills in the window there. So you think, fantastic.
You forget there's a lot of history. Lotus coming up to 8 decades of history now, and all of the stories around Colin Chapman and the success in Formula One. And there's a lot of F1 tech in this.
There's a lot of F1 tech, and it's that learning that Chapman proved that you put a helicopter engine in the back of a Formula One car, it's cheap and it's reliable. So he was never obsessed with having the right propulsion system. He never had sympathy for an engine and things like that. It was either quick enough or it was throw it away.
So interesting. Here we are. Bit of sun popping out for us.
We're home.
On our platform exclusive car registry, you'll uncover everything there is to know about extraordinary cars like the Lotus Evija. With only a double-digit number on the road so far, each example tells a unique story, from its specification to sightings around the world. Take this one for instance. Finished in the striking Violaceous paint, it stands out instantly, and with ECR, you can see which events it has attended and much more. New entries are added all the time, so whether you're an enthusiast or a collector, there's always something rare and fascinating to explore. And best of all, you can join the community for free and dive into the world of the most exclusive cars on the planet.
Welcome to Factory 3. There's a lot of history here, so it's originally one of the big hangars on site, but secret development centre, we had our dynamic centre here, but I remember Lotus Carlton's being built in here, so this was
right in here.
Similar setup to this, so full Carltons or Omegas came into here, stripped, round the loop and out as a Lotus Carlton, and other famous products have also been built in here as well. Why we've got a Formula 1 car in here is Emerson's 72 championship winning car, and we've paid homage to this in the anniversary of the 72 by making a Fittipaldi. So this was launched around about 12 months ago to the customers. Very exclusive, so there's only 8 being built, and that's what's on production today. But it was really just showing how you can personalize a car, you know better than anyone, just the details. But if you look at the roof, you'll see a silhouette of a 72 actually built into the car. So there's a fantastic, within the carbon fiber. And then there's his signature, the black and gold elements, all the races that he won in that championship winning year, mirrored the same as it was on his race car. For me, since the Elise and the Esprit and things, we've tried to build jewels into our cars. So if you remember the first throttle pedal on the Elise and the door hinge being an extrusion, that's what we wanted to do with the Evija, is make actual pieces of artwork from a brake pedal. It has to be very robust, but also it doesn't mean it's not beautiful, and also with the level of bespoking, so you can have it from any color anodize you want all the way through. This is the flap in the rear diffuser that's going up and down to take off around about 20% of the downforce. So fully down, you've lost 20% of the downforce because you haven't got effectively the long diffuser, and then fully up, you've got that really aggressive diffuser that you can see on the back of a Formula 1 car. So
and it's an enormous piece. I saw a diffuser, and it's 8 foot, and it starts really from the centre line of the car. So normally with a petrol engine, you haven't got that ability because you've got sumps, exhausts and gearboxes to start to ramp the diffuser up, where once our battery pack is there, we can start to really climb the diffuser quite aggressively. I'm interested in some of the tech side of things, right?
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about the battery pack and where it's mounted behind the driver, and you can start to see now that it's a big thing. It's up to really this part of the top is all cells, so around about 16,000 individual cells in there. And the top part is the battery management system, but also the complexity of the cooling. Because normally with the skateboard, you have the cooling plate at the bottom or the top, where we have all of these cooling plates and coolant running through, so the way that we actually control the temperature of it. And you can see how that can, with the shell around it, just be bolted up under the car, and it actually forms a structural part of the vehicle. If you imagine the DFV in the back of Emerson's car over there, it's around about 550 horsepower. That's that.
Yeah.
Well, actually it's that, because we've got the inverter. That's 500 horsepower. And that's the gearbox to cope with the torque and 500 horsepower out to the drive shaft. So you're seeing with a 1,000 horsepower engine sitting there, which you imagine should have some exhaust pipes and headers and things like this, but that's how unique, and that's how we can package that in the front of the car and the rear of the car.
There's a lot of carbon tub here.
This is one of the biggest single shot carbon tubs in the world. So it's basically one big shot of carbon. You can see where the hole is for the battery, and then you have crash cans front and rear of the aluminium, but everything else is carbon. Every insert you can see is bonded in, and all of the wishbones, everything like that are mounted to the carbon tub. You can see the push rod suspension with the replacement dampers, obviously, but the carbon brakes, the brake cooling disc, and even how subtle and ergonomic feel the upright are, and the center lock wheels. But you can start to see is that Russell had this porosity feel from the very first clay model, but we actually have to then start to incorporate that into the body as well. So you can see how that porosity through into the big wheelhouse here is where we've already got the air running through. You can start to see in here power steering pumps, air conditioning pumps. Brake booster, as we said, is that we don't have the regen and the decoupled brakes, but also things that people forget about packaging. You start to get wiper motors that are not 10% of the size of your 1,000 horsepower motor. Parts like that take some packaging as well. And you can see the intricate brake ducting here, through to keep the brake disc nice and cold, even though they're carbon.
Yeah.
And also the wishbone surrounds to actually make the wishbones more aerodynamic.
Oh, that's so interesting. So even to increase the aero efficiency of the metal parts that you would have there,
Yes,
there's a shield
in
built
the
around
wind,
it.
you know, in the airflow you don't want anything there. And again, motorsports inspired anti-roll bar systems, push rod front suspension, things like this.
So interesting.
Then this is where it gets really technical. We're starting to then feed the battery in from underneath. So we start to commission all of the systems. So we were talking about the hydraulic systems, the hydraulic pump, so that's controlling the doors, the lift, and the rear wing. But you've actually now fitted the battery pack, you can just see in there, with all the orange HV connectors, and the low voltage as well, because actually it's running a 12 volt system as well. It's not just got its 800 volt system. So at this point, we actually prove out the car. So we get everything to move, we check it, because we don't want to start cladding it with bodywork to then have to strip it off if there's a connection or a leak or anything like that. So this is where the real commissioning is done of the high voltage, low voltage and hydraulic circuit. Then this is where we start to fit all the bodywork itself, the lights, the interior. You can start to see the cross car beam is in, the dash is in. So we're getting quite close to a finished car here. And then really it's the last part of the commissioning is we're through, we'll charge, we'll actually install all the final interior parts, any of the exterior, diffusers, things like this. And then it goes across and it actually has wheel alignment, geometry checks, and every car is physically shaken down by one of my test drivers to make sure that the car is conditioned, everything works, and it's signed off that way.
So when the batteries start here and start going into the cars, are they in a full state of discharge?
Virtually, yes, because they've been proven, and also they don't want to be 100%. There's lots of, the whole factory here has thermal imaging cameras.
Okay.
So that for our insurance and safety, that we're made to have thermal imaging cameras and things on charge and stuff like that. So it's everything that we're learning as a business as well, that we've learned going forward.
I can imagine then when the car is effectively complete in terms of its construction,
it's through and it's final quality check. So this side is really polished, final quality checks. As we said, we check all the wheel alignment because you can change toe, camber, caster, ride height, everything on the car. It's all set up to our blueprint. Into the light tunnel for its last sign off and polish, and then out to its happy customer.
Before we move on, I've just been introduced to this. Now, each of the Fittipaldi cars comes with this pretty wonderful flight case, and I want to show you what's inside. So not only the way it's presented, this is initially your key box. So obviously each car comes with 2 keys and also the plaque. Obviously keys for this car off just for the moment. But then once you start going through each part of this, I'm gonna pop it on the Dura furniture over here, you start to see all of the different components that are provided with each of the cars. Obviously your center lock tool right here has a triangle. Then lift this out, and beneath this we have, oh actually I'm going to pop this to the side because I'm going to show you what's underneath. Not only your guidebooks, your charger, but this is pretty amazing. Each car comes with this presentation box, which has inside it an accurate model in or under its own car cover to perfectly match the car. I've never seen a car cover for a model car like this, but I absolutely love it. That is an awesome detail. So if I pop that back just in there, then on the other side, you have, take a look at this, car cover, again, branded to match the car as well, all in this flight case. And so while there might not be an enormous amount of luggage or storage space in the car, this can travel with it and live at home in the garage. And I've got to say, that is the kind of presentation box that I really quite like when it comes to something like this.
Right, okay, we've joined the retail area, what we call it, but it's a nice meeting area, it's part of our cafeteria, and we've just got cool stuff on display. You know,
because everything from the bicycles to the Cutaway to the X.
Yeah, you know, Olympic winning bike, Chris Boardman, through to, you know, the new bikes of this Olympics, where we're, you know, again, messing with aero, getting the forks in line with your knees and things like that, so you've not got 3 items or 4 items in the drag stream, where the first Olympic bike had the offset rear wheel, so it was similar to a yacht sailing, so it actually generated forward thrust through using the air. And then this one's quite nice, it's the 10,000th mirror that came off the line, so we kept that one and put all of the staff's name
faded through, so it's got everyone's name who worked at Lotus on that day that it was built. So
that's
it's a really
cool.
nice touch.
Amazing, they're already 10,000.
10,000 people don't think of it, does it?
Yeah.
One of the most successful car I've ever had. And then the Clark edition, so new to celebrate Jim Clark's record year, where he won F1, F2, touring cars and everything, all in 60 years ago. And to pay homage for that, we did our own edition, the Clark edition. But his race cars always had the red seat.
Yeah.
So hence why Russell
So
put
asymmetric.
one red seat in it to make sure you were the driver. And a touch to even the logo on the side of his car of the year. And there's the tartan in there, things like this. So these are very rare, and I think all sold out now, but a fantastic looking car.
It's fun to see a mirror heading in that direction now as well.
Yeah,
But this is
this is a Evija corner,
a great
really.
little variety of Evija. From the Fittipaldi we've taken a look at, I always love seeing this kind of style, the cutaway.
Yeah, it's the technology that's involved in it, but also it's the package. So people think the hardest thing to do engineering is actually getting things to work, which it is, but actually fitting all of the components that make a modern hypercar into this very sleek, small space. So you can see, power steering pumps, AC compressors, the damper system, the steering rack to the ABS unit. Everything's under that really low nose where you don't think you'd be able to fit anything.
But even the aero
Yes.
that's managed through the bodywork.
So you say the radiators would be in there flat with the road through, and then you've got to evacuate all of that air, and at 200 miles per hour, you're moving nearly 2 cubic meters of air all the time. It's just that amount of air just rushing across the car. To the tub, the battery pack nestled behind the drivers and passenger, through the damper system, and again you can really start to see the Venturis and the diffuser and just how aggressive that angle is. So I'm starting a long way back, right from under the battery pack all the way through to the diffusers. And we know they're efficient because we designed them in F1, but also in F1, that's the area where they pay most attention to is the floor. So that's the same for us, is the more ground effect you can get from the underside of the floor, you get it for nothing.
You can never underestimate it, but if you want the ultimate in electric performance, Evija X.
Evija X for us was really an experiment because it was about the ring time, where it's the third, fourth fastest car ever around the ring, 6:23. But it was mainly to prove what we could get out of our motors, our gearboxes. So it was the standard battery pack, standard motors, dampers, everything is production tub. So it was rich at the exterior bodywork, which was changed, and that was only changed for lightweight or widened, aggressive front and rear aero, and a slick tyre.
So aggressive.
But that now seems quite normal when you see the vans and things going up the Goodwood Hill. And
true.
tyres.
And Pikes Peak stuff.
We've actually gone a little bit sensible with our rail wing. So it was designed purely for that. So to go and set a new target for us around the ring to show that it's something that we don't normally chase ring time. So if we were going to do it, we want to be right up the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
And really, again, is just the learning from it with the traction control, the braking systems, the feel, the steering rack feel, and it was cocooned around, the roll cage for safety. And for us, it was a fantastic piece, of engineering work and a small project and a small team that had that learning from it.
Is there a quoted downforce figure?
No,
just lots.
Lots.
Thousands of kilos.
You're into the over 2 tons or 2,000 kilos of downforce. And the lap is online. Dirk Muller was our driver from Multimatic because basically I think he conceived at the Nürburgring. And to watch the footage, I had the pleasure or displeasure of having to follow him in a safety car in an Emira around.
Okay.
Which gone, and just the hope that you don't see it ever again until the checkered flag, and it's impressive to see, and praise to everybody.
Rear plate now removed, and we're over at the clubhouse to get signed on because behind is the test track, the test facility here at Hethel, which I last drove about a decade ago in a significantly less powerful car than this. In fact, probably only about 10% of the power of this. I think this is going to be quite fun. Feels quite special, the track right next to the Chapman Production Centre.
Yeah, it was a really good asset for us.
These first corners are all just weaving, aren't they?
Yeah, so you just probably stay off the curbs a little bit just because they'll be wet, but just nearly touch the bottom of each curb. Then up to the top we've got a hairpin. So the brakes are quite firm on track, so you actually have to, you know, get into them. And then here, as you said, it's just a series of corners. So it's nearly that curve, nearly this one. So you can just start to feel the roll and the laterals build up. Then it's just brake here, then we go on to the long windsock.
And then the big straight.
And a decent straight, obviously you've got wet line there. If you just stay to this side, we'll go past these cones.
Ah, yes, that's where you would have the chicane.
That takes us into the bottom hairpin.
I remember we had some fun drifting around here.
Yeah, you can normally play around here, and then it's literally just nearly hug the curve, wait till it's straight, stay in the middle, and then we can go.
Super flat.
It is, isn't it?
50
But
plus.
just how it rotates and goes is it's that sensation where you can just place it.
I think this is a little bit faster than the last car I drove around here with you, which was an Elise sub 200 horsepower. Scarily ballistic.
It's quick, isn't it? And that's still in a road setting, you know.
We're not even in track mode. I mean, I'm being very early on the brakes because the speeds are so much higher than pretty much anything else would be.
And I think that's the thing, is when you're at a circuit where there's other cars, you realise just how fast it really is.
Should we give track a go?
Yeah, let's give track a go. I'd do it on the straight, just because it will break traction.
Okay.
So it's lively, so you'll have to just, if you pull up here, you can stop. You just
So
have
do you
to
need to come to a stop?
Yeah,
to go
you need
into
to
track?
come to, it's a legislation. So that's it, you just stick to a halt here, it's fine. Then you just twist and hold it, and it will say track.
So go, complete stop, into track. Okay, you hear some hydraulic noises.
Hydraulic noises now set the diffusers and the wings.
Track mode not for public roads.
Yeah, because it's got a lot less ESC, and
Okay.
it will actually try and break traction as well. So if you're aggressive with the throttle, it will give you what you want.
I will try and be gentle with the
Okay.
throttle. Suspension-wise, does it firm up
Yeah,
significantly
firms up
more?
again.
Oh yeah. Race car or what? The ride is firmer, the steering feels, as a result, even more direct with it. I love the display on the dashboard as well, the power chart.
Yeah.
Be gentle on the throttle, just getting some temp into the Trofeo-Rs, but still.
It's worth just sort of cruise through here at just under 100, pick your dry line, and then get ready for it. So get in the middle of the track, that's it, go.
Whoa! Did that just open some new...
So you can feel it start to move.
I'm a little bit...
It is, isn't it? It's like, wow.
But I feel like if you gave me an hour or two of doing this, I would get very quick around here. in
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel... Yes, it's intimidating in a way, but it feels also like I can learn it. Like I can get comfortable with it. And you really have a good position. good seating setup, good visibility, good confidence. If there was ever a track where you needed to use the fast in, fast out, sorry, fast in, what we're talking about, slow in, fast out, it's through some of those corners there. And the brakes handle it very well. I mean, there's no sensation that you're driving a car anything like as heavy as it is.
No.
And I think part of that is the way the braking is so confident. The pickup is flabbergasting. But the brakes as well, it's so stable under braking.
Yeah.
The way it handles that. We've even got a bit of sunshine poking through
Yeah,
for
we've
us.
got a little bit, yeah.
It's very kind of it. I tell you what though, because of how much the forces are as a result of the speed,
Yeah.
you actually can't kind of heat up a little bit, don't you?
Yeah,
your internal body temperature rises fast.
It's that you expect it as soon as you hit the throttle, but it's that next phase that no one's ready for.
Yeah.
Because you're normally shifting gears and the torque feels the same. And it's just this where it just goes, okay, you are serious then, we'll go quicker.
Go, go, go. I'm really surprised, but very positively impressed by how dynamic the car is.
Ah, fantastic.
I like this. It's not just a GT cruiser. It's very easy to think, oh, electric, it should be soft, it should be docile. No, it should be exciting.
No, this was a modern day hypercar, you know, it was that. And it's not, you know, completely frantic. It encourages you, it relates back to the driver. You know, it's that package. And it is, you know, as much fun as people have in Elises and Exiges and Emiras, it's just that at 11 or 12 or 15 or 20, isn't it? It's just that next level. And then it just sits at rest at... There we go.
Just like that. Press the button.
Just press the button and
off you go.
There we go. It's really good. I was glad you enjoyed it, because it is. You have to come into this experience open-minded, isn't it? Because
it's easy as a petrol head to say, oh, it's EV, how can that be fun? But the reality is, it's really fun.
It's really fun, and it delivers everything that, you know, the other benchmarks are delivering as well, just in a different way.
Yeah, that was cool. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure.
You're going to show me how to do it now.
Yeah, let's go. Yes.
I was waiting for that straight out of the pit lane.
So you're constantly fighting for traction. It's trying to work out how much torque it can have.
Yeah.
A little bit of ESC.
It is nuts. This is where 170, 180, 190, 195 miles per hour. How in that short space can you do that? Braking is amazing. Dashboard to give you a sense. It's 160 miles per hour. That's faster than the car I've driven in here today can even drive. Quite smooth.
It's very. You can lose all reference, isn't it?
It's quite akin to being on a roller coaster right now. well and truly shaken around by Gav. But I tell you what, the most interesting thing driving this on track, firstly, is that you have this preconception that an electric car of its nature is going to be so much more GT focused, and the reality is that this is a very dynamic car to drive. It's very much about the steering feel, about the engagement from it. Second thing is obviously the speed, and on the video it probably doesn't portray in the way that you feel it, but the acceleration is so dramatic that you really have to get on the anchors such a long time before the next corner versus your expectation, because of how fast you're going. But then of course you have proper stopping power and it does a very nice job. I expected it to be so much more of a, I'm going to say, chilled drive versus the reality. There are, however, some more things I would like to show you, so let's go have a closer look around. We're going to come and take a better look inside the car. Of course, you've got the half Union flag detailing on here. Underneath here is the button to pop open the door. Stand back from that. And then I'm going to run you through a little bit more of what we have in here. So the seat, you'll notice on this car, is actually tinted in the carbon fibre to match with the exterior, and then the contrast stitch to go with that. There is a plaque on the bulkhead with the chassis number of the car. You've got a little vision through, replicating that of the engine that you might find behind. Up top, your controls here represent those of the late 1970s Esprit Turbo, that feeling that carries through. And then of course the screens that you see dotted around, I want to show you a little bit more of, including the main dashboard. But this wing really that hangs across the front, that you see obviously through that front window from outside the car, it's a really nice piece of design. Obviously, by being simplified and taking away, giving more of that negative space, means that it's obviously lighter as a result as well. So stepping in to the seat here, it is phenomenally low inside the car. That is one of the takeaways of this. Obviously on the ski slope, as mentioned, there are a lot of buttons. You do need to have a quick glance to figure out exactly what you're looking at. And then the rotary toggle here, as we talked about while driving on the road, for controlling your different display elements. But having this very, very narrow steering wheel means that you're looking at the display over the top of it. You have your different modes which change the display screen. So you go up through them, obviously it changes the appearance, the colorways and things, and then you can choose a few different settings. Obviously you've got climate control settings here as well, media, and a few options as well for the wing and the lift system up at the very top. The design though, you'll notice this accurately mimics the same design on the outside for the aero that you have out there. There's a manual door release back here if the electronics aren't operable, even down to having this little embossed Lotus graphic on the door also. There's actually a USB port right behind, some power, small amounts of storage. The key goes in here to make sure that you can start it up, and then there's a tray and another USB port just down at the front of that storage area as well. Obviously when the door is open, you've got pretty easy entry and exit, quite a narrow carbon tub sill to step out over, exposed view of the tyre that has now picked up quite a bit of rubber from our activities. Up top you've got the lock and unlock buttons and some lighting. And I just find the whole drama of this, closing the door by pulling that button, holding it while it shuts down, just a sense of excitement and theatre. I think that's basically the idea behind it. Latch it in and you're secured inside the cabin. The steering wheel, again, very easy. There's a membrane over these buttons, so you have a slight feel to them. They're not cheap plastic buttons, and even the rotaries here for the lights, all very, very nicely done, very nicely finished. The button here to scroll through different displays, depending what it is you want to bring up at that specific moment, with the climate control, as Gav mentioned earlier, linking through. And then this quite unusual end of the footwell, this slope almost that tucks down the back and down into the footwell in front of you. The cabin is really well thought out. There's plenty of space, got no headroom constraints, no sense of being enclosed in a small little space. Obviously sun visor, in a car like this you've got such a narrow window anyway, but a small visor that pulls on down, and then to exit you just literally press that up, door opens back up. Super simple and easy. But even down there, the pedals and the footrest have the same finish on them to match with this hexagon theme that you see throughout the car. It's very coherent in terms of its design throughout like that. One fun thing to quickly show you, if I grab the key, on the back is the Evija logo. We can use a little bit of editing magic to flip that, and it basically reads alive, which is quite fun. Anyway, that belongs in there while the car is in action. One thing to demonstrate is the button for the wing. So it's currently extended. If I press this, it should go down and sit flush in the bodywork. Super simple, just like that. I want to come and show you the back of the car as well. It's really cool to step out and just press a button like this, but around the back, obviously this is where you have your charging port. So this panel that sits very neatly inside the rear, and I love the tail lights wrapping around the Venturi tunnels. You basically just press on here, it releases, and inside, hand-built in Britain by Lotus. And on the other side, your various charging ports, depending if you're charging on a regular Type 2 plug at home, or if you want to charge on a faster charger as well. Simply click that back in. The design of this, how sleek it is at the rear, obviously all to do with the aerodynamics, and without the plate in place, you get a better view of the DRS and how these flaps at the rear work. But this diffuser just goes well underneath the back of the car. And it's a very, very interesting thing to take a closer look at. Even come and have a look at the finish that's done here. The stripes are tinted carbon with a pinstripe flanking them, and then regular exposed carbon with the V-shape, all of which is surrounded by this iridescent paintwork that just gives you a completely different colour depending wherever you're looking at it from, and obviously what light you have out on it as well. It's been to lots of different events and shows, and I think just gives a bit of an example of what's possible when it comes to this. The next stop on today's journey is here at Lotus Design. We're heading in to meet with Russell Carr, head of design here at Lotus, to talk a little bit about the Evija customer experience, because right inside is where customers can come to spec their car, or of course do it remotely. So let's head on in.
Well, welcome to Design. So this is the home of Lotus Design. This is where we design the Emira and the Evija, and we've been based here since 2000, so we've done a lot of cars here, both for Lotus and other people. And this is one of the areas we take customers in when they want to configure cars. We've got a range of colours here. We've got paint samples from both the Evija, the Emira, but also on the top, even from the Elise and Exige dates, because it's really what you want. So we can do anything. We've got various finishes we can put on carbon, so we can put different lacquers on there. We can tint it, so you know, maybe you want to show a symbol. So this is a numeral here, but it could be a shape, etc.
This is all kind of interesting, but there's so much history as well to the Lotus brand, right? In case in point. So there are so many different ideas and things you can work from.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've done a limited range of cars celebrating the victory that Emerson Fittipaldi had in the 1972 season. And these are some of the samples from here, the famous black and gold livery. Obviously, within the car, there are a number of metal parts. You can have those anodized to your taste. We're actually missing one here. There should be red as well. We're limited only by the anodizing process that we can access. One thing that's very interesting is in the center of the seat we have this spine, and on the launch cars we put on there for the drivers our strap line, but you can have anything you want. So this just tells people you can have what you want. Obviously they're much thinner on the actual car. So for example, on the Fittipaldi, it's this sort of thickness. This doesn't actually have anything written on it, but this is on the seat. In this room, we can sit with the customer and configure their car using imagery. So we have a number of different methods of doing that. We have the traditional configurator on the wall here. That's preset with standard colors and liveries. But of course, that's really just the start of the journey. A customer wants to do something very special. On the big screen, you can see an example of something a little bit more special. So that happens to be one of our race liveries. But equally, it can be something that is being requested by the customer, as you can see flicking through there as well.
What I find really interesting here is that because the car has such a different element of aerodynamics to other cars, right? Because there are so many channels and paths through it, you can play with that with liveries. You can emphasize the aero on it. The accentuated pinstripe around the outside, coloring through the tunnels. Some historic style liveries I immediately recognize here.
This is a bit of fun. This is a body panel from the Evija. It's the carbon fiber body panel, finished in gold, and it really shows off the form really nicely. And then you can look through the passageway here and see how we manage the airflow. So something very unique on the Evija.
What a fantastic day. We've been very lucky with the weather. A huge thanks to Gav, to Russ, and to the team here at Lotus for this opportunity, for this experience with Evija. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like videos like this, check out the one right over there. That's it for this time though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.